I am 71 years old this year, but even now, I still cannot understand how a woman who has spent her whole life beside her husband could end up sleeping on the sofa, all because of a maid the same age as her granddaughter. He told me, "You're old now, so live like an old person." He said he wanted to live again to make his retirement years meaningful. I used to think that at this age, marriage had nothing left to fight for, only affection, only habit. What's left to betray? What's left to leave behind? But I was wrong. Old age doesn't protect anyone from heartbreak. Gray hair can't stop a heart from fluttering next to a young girl. I used to cook for our family, give him every pill he needed, clean every speck of dust, wash every shirt, just so he could have peace in his later years. But he chose to start a new relationship right here in our own house. And then I was pushed aside, not by shouting, not via slap, but by one light sentence. "NG. Say we'll sleep in your room. You can move to the sofa." I remember that first night on the couch, hearing faint laughter from inside the bedroom, the same room where I had slept for over 40 years. The laughter wasn't loud, but every sound cut into my heart. I wasn't jealous. I just felt like a guest in the very house I had swept brick by brick. And that's why I came to this program today, to tell everything.
Before we begin today's story, we'd like to invite our listeners to subscribe to the channel so that more people going through similar situations can hear and find comfort in these stories. And please don't hesitate to leave a comment below to share your sincere thoughts and advice for our guest today. Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on Reflections on Old Age. Yes, hello, Mr. Sam. Hello to all the listeners of the program. Thank you, ma'am. Miss Than, thank you for sharing those opening words. They were truly heavy with emotion. You used the phrase, "a guest in my own home," a home you said you've been tied to for more than 40 years. That is a feeling I believe no woman, especially at your age, when peace and rest should be your right, should ever have to endure. Before we go deeper into your story, could you tell us a little about yourself and your family, so that our audience can better understand your situation? And also, what made you decide to speak up today, even though I know, at your age, revealing such private pain is never something easy or desirable?
My name is San. I'm 71 years old this year. Primera wa, ese born in Achete, back when it hadn't yet merged into Hanoi. But after I got married, I followed my husband down here to Hanoi. And we've lived here since 1980. More than 40 years, almost 45 now. My husband's name is Min. He's 2 years older than me, so he's 73 this year. He was a civil engineer, worked for the state, and only retired a few years ago. We got married when I was 26, so that makes it 45 years together, a long journey, a lifetime really. And what about your own work before retirement, ma'am? I used to be a nurse, working at a district hospital. It is a job people often joke about as being a daughter-in-law to 100 families. You know, I worked as a nurse for 35 years before retiring about 10 years ago. I have 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. They're all grown now, successful in their own ways, each with their own family and home. One lives in Saigon, another works all the way in Vung Tau. And because they live far away, they were worried I might have a hard time managing things at home, so they decided to hire a housekeeper for me. And that's where all of this began. Mr. Sam, I came here today not to accuse anyone, not to cry for justice, because at my age, I know that even if I demanded it, no one could give it to me anymore. I just want to ask. I want someone outside the family someone neutral like you, Mr. Sam, to listen to my story and tell me, is it true that when a woman grows old, she loses her right to love, to be loved, and even to exist as a woman in her own home? Must it be that after a lifetime of sacrifice, when we grow old, we are simply expected to fade away, to become invisible?
That is truly a heartbreaking question. 45 years, a number that younger generations today can hardly believe. 45 years that went through war, the subsidy era, and the period of reform, surely. This pain you're carrying now isn't the only one life has given you. Could you tell me about the early days, ma'am? About your marriage, about Mr. Min back then, when you were both still young? How did it all begin?
Yes, I still have to say this. Mr. Min was not a bad man. Maybe because I lived with him for so long, I always try to remember the good things first. I didn't marry him for money, nor out of some blind love. I married him because I thought he was a decent man, educated, someone who would take care of his family. He was a construction engineer working for the state. You know what that job was like back in the subsidy era? He was always away on projects, irrigation works in Sengbi or up in the Central Highlands. Sometimes he'd be gone 3 months, 6 months, before coming home again. He was away for most of our marriage. I stayed behind, working as a nurse at the district clinic, raising 3 children on my own. Mr. Sam, I worked endless night shifts. At dawn, 5 in the morning, I'd wake up to cook breakfast and get the children ready for school. My eldest, who was only in 3rd grade, had to watch the baby while I rushed off to work. I rode my old bicycle for several kilometers on dirt roads to reach the clinic. At night, I came home exhausted, but still had to cook, fetch water, and wash clothes. Back then, there was no gas stove, no electric cooker. I had to light up a charcoal stove, smoke filling my eyes, and on top of that, there was my mother. I lived with her for the first 15 years of my marriage. She was very strict. I took care of her when she was sick, cooked for her, washed her clothes, even emptied her chamber pot. While Mr. Min was away, he only sent money home. I gave birth to all 3 of our children without him by my side. Not once. Every time he was at some construction site, he'd only rush home the next day, bringing a packet of sugar or a can of milk as a gift. Was I lonely? Of course. Many nights, working the maternity ward, I saw husbands holding their wives' hands as they gave birth. I was envious, but I told myself, that's just how women of our generation live. Sacrifice was normal. If my husband was hardworking, didn't gamble or drink, and our children behaved well, that was enough. I saved every little bit of my nurse's salary. I raised our kids, cared for my mom. I never bought myself a new dress, never indulged in good food, always saving, waiting for him to come home. He was a quiet man, never hugged me in front of the children, but he knew I loved sweet black bean soup. Sometimes, when he came home from work, he'd bring me a packet of it or a green rice cake from Hatay. He'd just place it on the table without a word, and I knew that was his way of saying, I love you. And just like that, 45 years went by. Our 3 children grew up well. I taught them to bow to their elders, to save every coin, to say thank you, Mom, every night. Then we retired. I thought, finally, we can rest. I felt lucky. I looked at my friends, some widowed early, some with troubled children, but I still had my husband healthy, and beside me. I thought we would spend our mornings drinking tea, talking about the grandchildren. I just wanted him to be healthy and at peace. I wanted to care for him in his old age. But I never imagined that some people, the older they get, the more they crave to live differently, to live fast, as if they'd never lived before. That different kind of living, as you said, began right when Mr. Min retired completely, didn't it? And it coincided with the arrival of the new housemaid, Ms. Engis. Yes. It started after Mr. Min had been fully retired for a few years. He began to change a lot. He dyed his hair. For 45 years, his hair went gray, naturally. I'd never seen him dye it before. Suddenly, it was jet black, neatly cropped in a youthful style. He bought strong perfume. The scent gave me headaches. He got a new smartphone, expensive, used wireless earphones to listen to pop songs I didn't even understand. He went to the gym, not just walking in the park anymore. He bought tight shirts with patterns, things he'd never wear before. At first, I thought, oh, maybe he just wants to live healthier, feel young again. Good for him. As his wife, seeing him happy made me happy too. I even joked, "Where are you off to, dressing up like that?" He just smiled and said, "People start living when they retire, you know." I thought he was joking. I didn't think much of it. Then, my middle daughter hired Ngisi, and that's when everything began. That happened after I had a mild stroke. About 2 years ago, I fell seriously ill, and my health hasn't been the same since. I can't move around as quickly as before. My children called me and said, "Mom, you're getting old. Don't push yourself anymore." Dad's always been particular. He never really helps with housework. "Please, save your strength so you can live long with us. Don't try to do everything yourself." I listened, and honestly, it made sense. Even Mr. Min, I don't know why, but that time, he actually agreed. So I said yes to letting that girl, Ngisi, come help. She was 26. From who? Jiang. She told us her parents passed away early, that she'd been living with her siblings, and then came up to Hanai to find work. I felt sorry for her. At first, she worked just half days, helped me clean, went to the market with me. I still did the main cooking. After a few months, she said her rented room was too far away, and it was costing her too much. She asked to stay with us. My husband and I felt compassion. The house is big. All the kids have moved out, so we let her use the attic room on the terrace. I treated her like a granddaughter. At first, I really liked her. She was polite, hardworking, quiet. She'd help me pick vegetables, hang clothes, sometimes even made ginger water for me to soak my feet. I even told my husband, Mr. Min, that girl's really nice, gentle, respectful. But then, I started noticing something strange. Mr. Min became cheerful again, but cheerful with her. I'd been cooking for him for decades, and he rarely gave a compliment. But when that girl made something southern dishes like fish stew or fermented fish hot pot, he'd praise her endlessly. "You cook so well. Reminds me of when I was young." And the way he looked at her, it wasn't right. It wasn't he. The look of an old man toward a helper young enough to be his granddaughter. It was a look I don't even want to describe, a kind of sparkle, a kind of excitement. It was a look I hadn't seen from him in 45 years of marriage. I didn't dare get jealous. I'm 71. If I act jealous, people would laugh. They'd say, "Old woman, jealous of the young." But I felt wounded because I was still here, still cooking him 3 meals a day, still washing his clothes, even his underwear, still making warm water for him to rinse his mouth each morning. And yet, his eyes followed a young woman around the house. Our house. I stayed silent. I told myself maybe he was just being friendly. Maybe it would pass. Old men like to feel young again sometimes. Surely he'd get over it, and things would go back to normal. But no. One afternoon, I came home early from church. As I passed the living room, I saw them sitting together, drinking coffee and laughing. I stopped at the door. Before I could unlock it, I heard him say, "You make this old man feel alive again." And then he laughed. A light, happy laugh I hadn't heard in years. He said, "You know, if this old man can still feel his heart flutter, it's because of you." "Mr. Sam." I froze, completely frozen. Not because of the words themselves, but because of how happy he sounded. Happier than when our son called to say he'd passed the university entrance exam. My heart turned to ice. I turned my bike around and went straight to the market. I stood there among the crowd, tears welling up, not out of jealousy, but because I knew I was losing my husband. Mr. Sam, that moment when you were standing outside, hearing your 73-year-old husband say that to your 26-year-old housekeeper, what did you do? Did you walk in? Did you confront them? I didn't. I couldn't. My hands were trembling so badly I couldn't even fit the church keys into the lock. I was scared that if I stepped inside, everything would shatter. And you see, old people like us, what we fear most is a broken home. I didn't want my children who live far away to worry. They'd just say, "Mom, you're overthinking things. You're too old to be jealous." So I quietly turned my bicycle around. I didn't go home. I wandered around the market, passing by the fish stalls, the vegetable stalls. People called out, "Mrs. Than, what are you buying today?" I just shook my head. I didn't even know where I was going. By noon, the sun was high overhead. My clothes were drenched in sweat. I felt exhausted. So I finally rode home. When I came back, I pretended I hadn't heard a thing. Pretended I'd just been out shopping. That girl, Ngisi, greeted me like nothing had happened. "Good afternoon, ma'am." "You're back? It's so hot today. Come rest inside." It just nodded. I couldn't even look at her face. Then I went into the kitchen and started cooking lunch. At lunch, Mr. Min sat at the table as usual. Ngisi set out 3 bowls. Normally, after setting the table, she'd step back into the kitchen or take her food upstairs to her attic room. But that day, she sat down at the table. She sat down and I froze for a moment, but I stayed silent. I thought maybe Mr. Min allowed it. Maybe he just felt sorry for her. Thought she'd been working hard. Maybe it was out of kindness. And then Mr. Min picked up food for her. He picked up food for the housemaid right in front of me. Yes, right in front of me. That day, I had braised a pot of pork ribs. He took a big piece, placed it gently into her bowl, and said, "Ngc, eat more. You look too pale. You need strength to work." He served her like that, so naturally, as if it were the most ordinary thing in the world, and I sat there across the same dining table I'd been sitting at for 45 years. 45 years as his wife, and not once had he ever picked up food for me, unless I was bedridden with illness. Back when my mother-in-law was alive, I was always the one serving, picking food for her, for him, for the children. He would just sit and eat like it was my duty. But now, there he was, picking food for a young maid, and doing it so easily, so comfortably, like it was the most natural thing. I lowered my head and kept eating. Each bite of rice felt bitter in my throat, like it was turning to sand. But still, I told myself, "Than, you're old now. Don't be foolish. Don't be jealous." He just feels affection for the girl. He sees her as family, maybe as a daughter. Since our children live far away, I forced myself to believe that. I forced the food down just to finish the meal.
You tried to ignore it. You comforted yourself, believing it was just the fondness of an old man for someone young, a grandfatherly affection. You were truly forgiving, truly kind-hearted. But did it stop there, or did it go even further?
No, it didn't stop there, Sam. The more I tried to ignore it, the more they crossed the line. He started giving that girl NGC money.
You knew about that. Do you have any proof, ma'am?
Of course, I knew. It was his pension money. He used to give it all to me every month. For years, he only kept a little for small expenses. But ever since he started getting younger, ever since he began going to that ZM gym, he started keeping it all himself. He said he needed it for personal spending, clothes, supplements, and I agreed. It seemed normal. A husband having his own pocket money isn't wrong. But then I noticed that girl, NGC. She suddenly had a new phone, an expensive smartphone, the exact same model as his. That already made me suspicious. Then she showed up with a brand new motorbike, a shiny red scooter. A housemaid with the means to buy something like that. It didn't make sense. You didn't ask her about it? I did, I said. That day she rode it home while I was hanging laundry in the yard. I asked her, "Engisi, did you just buy a new bike? It's beautiful." She smiled and said, "Yes, I won the lottery, ma'am. Won a few dozen million, so I bought this bike to get around easier." A housemaid who won the lottery. Yes, I half believed it, half didn't. It sounded ridiculous, but I had no proof, so I just let it go, telling myself maybe she was lucky. Until about 4 months ago, I was cleaning my husband's men's room. Even though we had her helping around, I never let anyone touch our bedroom that was mine to care for. I was wiping his desk. He's a retired civil engineer, has lots of notebooks and papers. Then I saw a slip of paper sticking out from one old ledger. I pulled it out. It was a receipt, a red invoice for a motorbike purchase. Buyer S. Name B. Van Min. Address our home. Model Honda. Red color. The exact bike that girl was riding, the purchase date 1 week before she brought it home. That's when I knew. He bought it for her. He lied to me. And she lied to me too with that nonsense about winning the lottery. At that point, with such clear proof, you asked, did you confront him directly? I couldn't stay silent anymore. Sam, that evening, I waited until Engisi finished dinner, washed the dishes, and went upstairs to her little attic room. Then I took that receipt in my hand and walked into the bedroom. He was sitting on the bed reading the newspaper. I tried to keep my voice calm. I held up the paper and asked, "What is this? Who did you buy this bike for?"
And what did Mr. Min say? Ma'am, did he deny it? Or did he try to explain, say he bought it for a child or a grandchild?
Yes. I couldn't believe my own ears anymore. When have I ever been nagging? I've taken care of every single one of his blood pressure pills every morning. I have to remind him to take them. I look after his shirts, his pants, his diet, every meal he eats. And now I'm the one who's nagging. But that girl, she just smiles. She says sweet things like, "Mr. Min, you look so young today," or "that shirt looks so good on you." And suddenly she is the one who knows how to listen. I felt helpless. The receipt slipped from my hands, papers scattering across the floor. I walked out. That night, I couldn't sleep, lying next to him on the same bed. I felt like he was a stranger. He turned his back to me and slept soundly, while I stayed awake the whole night, realizing everything was truly beginning to fall apart.
Miss Dan, I honestly don't know what to say. I think I need a moment of silence. The image of a 71-year-old woman, a retired nurse, a wife of 45 years, curling up alone in the living room, listening to laughter coming from her own bedroom. It's something far beyond what I could ever imagine. And you lay there, awake through the night. What about your children, the 3 children you raised with your own hands? Do they know about this? Did you call them? Tell them what happened.
My children. Yes, they all know.
You mean, they all know? Did you tell them yourself? Or did they find out on their own when they came home?
At first, I hid it. I endured it like that for almost a week. Every morning, that girl Engisi would come out of the room and still greet me politely. "Good morning, ma'am." I didn't answer. Mr. Min would come back from his Zumba class, change clothes, and sit down for breakfast. Breakfast that she cooked pho, noodle soup, not rice, like I used to make. He'd eat and praise her cooking. I couldn't stand it anymore. I'm human too, Sam. I was holding everything in, but I felt like I was about to explode. That weekend, my middle daughter, the one working in Saigon, called me on video as she often does. She saw me. She said, "Mom, where are you? That doesn't look like your room." Because it was 8 p.m. and I was sitting on the sofa. I couldn't hide it anymore. I broke down, crying. I turned the camera around and showed her the pillow and blanket folded on the sofa corner. She panicked. "Mom, why are you sleeping there? Did you and Dad argue? Where's Dad?" And then I told her. I cried, and I told her everything. I told her how Mr. Min had changed, about that girl, Engisi, about the motorbike receipt. And I told her that he'd kicked me out of our bedroom to give it to the housemaid.
Your daughter, when she heard her mother tell such a heartbreaking story, how did she react?
She was silent, completely silent on the other end of the line. So long that I thought the connection had dropped. I called out, "Honey, are you still there?" She finally answered, "Yes, Mom." And then she said something I never thought my own daughter, the one I stayed up all night sewing dresses for, would ever say to me. What did she say? She said, "Mom, I know you're hurting. I know you're sad. But Mom, Dad is still alive. And as long as someone's alive, they still have feelings. They still have the right to feel. The right to feel," she said. She said Dad worked hard his whole life. Now he's retired. Maybe he just wants to live his own life. Why don't you just think of it as him having someone to keep him company? Please, don't make a big deal out of it. You're old now. Mom, if you make a scene, the neighbors will laugh, and it'll be embarrassing for us too. When I heard that, it felt like someone had put a bucket of ice water over my head from my scalp to my toes. I was trembling. I said, "What are you saying, child? She's just the housemaid. She's your age. And your father kicked me out to sleep on the sofa. You're telling me not to make a big deal out of that." She sighed and said, "Well, if you make a big deal out of it, what will you do? Get a divorce at 71? You want people to laugh at you? Or are you going to fight the girl? You can't, Mom. Just try to endure it. For the family's sake. We live far away. We have our own lives. You'll just have to bear with it for us."
A sacrifice, even at the age of 71, you're still being asked to sacrifice. To endure in silence for the sake of your children, for the family's reputation. I hung up the phone. I couldn't say another word. What about your two sons? Do they know about this, and how did they react?
My daughter called her two brothers my sons. One is a project manager in Vung Tau, the other works at a bank in Saigon. They're both busy, but they called me back. My eldest said, "Mom, I heard what my sister told me. Just pretend you don't know anything, okay? Dad's old now. Maybe he's just getting senile. He's probably just having a little fun. Nothing serious. That girl is young. She knows how to please people. Just stay quiet for a while. He'll get bored and come back to you. Don't make a fuss. It'll hurt your health. You just had a mild stroke, remember?" The second one was more practical. He said, "Mom, the house is in Dad's name. And his pension is his money. You worked as a nurse, but your salary was small. If you make a big deal out of this and Dad really kicks you out, where will you go? Please, just endure a bit. As long as you stay there, you're still the lady of the house, and we can still come home to visit you. But if you leave, people will say, 'We're ungrateful sons who let our mother live on the streets.'"
Not a single one, not even one of your children, stood by your side.
Not a single one, Sam. None of them even asked me. Once, "Mom, are you cold sleeping on the sofa? Mom, does your back hurt? Mom, are you sad?" All they cared about was appearances, about the neighbors, about not being called about keeping the house peaceful. But my feelings, the feelings of a 71-year-old woman, cast out of her own bedroom by her husband, no one cared about those.
And so, you accepted it. You accepted living out there on the sofa.
I didn't accept it. But I had no other choice. When even my own children said such things, who else could I turn to? So I stayed silent. From being the mother of my children, I became an unpaid maid for two people who were in love again, right inside my own home.
You still kept cooking and doing the laundry. For all three of them.
At first, I still did everything. I still woke up early, went to the market, cooked because I thought, if I don't cook, what will Min eat? He has high blood pressure. His food has to be bland. But when I set the table, the three of us sat together just like I told you before. That girl, Engisi, sat next to Mr. Min. She picked food for him, smiled, and said, "Uncle, have some of this," or "Uncle, drink that." And me, I sat across from them, like a shadow. Mr. Min didn't say a single word to me during the whole meal. He didn't even look at me. He only talked to her. After a few meals like that, I couldn't stand it anymore. I felt humiliated. Completely, utterly humiliated.
And what did you do then?
I stopped cooking. I just let it be. In the mornings, I got up, went to church, and after Mass, I had breakfast outside a loaf of bread or a bowl of noodles at the market. At noon, I didn't come home either. In the evening, I went back, bought a plain baguette on the way, came home, and ate it quietly by myself. I didn't cook for the two of them anymore.
When you stopped cooking, how did Mr. Min react? Was he angry?
He didn't get angry. In fact, he almost seemed pleased that I stopped cooking, because now Engisi did it instead. That girl is from the western region of Vietnam, and the dishes she makes are so different from mine. She cooks gan chua, sour soup, cacote, say caramelized braised fish, with the smell of fish sauce, lemongrass, and chili filling the entire kitchen. Mr. Min eats it and praises her endlessly. "Engisi, your cooking is so good, it reminds me of my youth," he says. They eat together, just the two of them, at the table in the living room, eating, watching TV, laughing. They've built their own little family right before my eyes. And me, I eat plain bread and sleep on the sofa. Yes, I still wash my own clothes. I eat alone. And I still take care of the family altar, because I'm the eldest daughter after all, Mr. Min never touches it, and even Engisi doesn't dare to. It's so ironic, Mr. Sam. I'm still the one who keeps the altar of our ancestors, yet I've been banished from my own bedroom.
Did you see any clear evidence of their relationship besides the fact that they ate together and that NGC slept in your bedroom?
I didn't dare to spy on them. I was afraid of what I might see. Afraid that if I really saw it, I wouldn't be able to bear it. But there was one time. One afternoon when I was home, I was hanging the laundry out in the backyard, and as I walked past the bedroom, my old bedroom, I noticed the door was slightly ajar, not completely closed.
And you looked inside.
I didn't mean to look, but I saw inside. Mr. Min was sitting on the bed, wearing his home clothes. That girl, Engisi, was sitting beside him. They were holding a smartphone together, looking at their selfies and laughing soft, intimate laughter. Then Mr. Min reached up and brushed her hair with his hand. It was such a tender, familiar gesture. I just stood there, frozen. I wanted to knock, to shout, "What are you two doing?" I wanted to storm in and drag that girl out, but my legs felt buried in the ground. I couldn't move. I just stood there, watched for a moment, then quietly walked away. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even jealous. I just felt empty.
Since that moment, did you talk to your children again? Did you tell them that things had gone too far?
I didn't. didn't call them anymore. My daughter already told me not to make a big deal out of it. My sons told me to endure it. If I called again, what would I even say? Would I tell them I saw their father stroking the maid's hair just to have them say, "I am an old woman who spies on others"? I don't want to hear those words anymore. I'm tired.
How long have you been living in that emptiness, in that feeling of being a guest in your own home?
For the past 3 months, 3 long months, I've been sleeping on the sofa. For 3 months, I've been filling my stomach with nothing but bread. At night, lying on that sofa, I hear the steady hum of the air conditioner from the bedroom, their bedroom, and me. I lie beside an old electric fan, covering myself with a thin blanket, shivering like someone with malaria. I think about my life. I think about the day of my mother-in-law's death anniversary. 10 years ago, how I cooked 7 full trays of food all by myself. How I took care of the entire husband's family. Min, he only had to wear a nice shirt, walk in and out, greet the guests. I think about the day, 5 years ago, when he fell ill with kidney stones. Twisting in pain. I ran all over the hospital looking for doctors. I called each of our children to take turns watching over him. I think about the day of our daughter's wedding, when I sewed his old shirt back together. He said, "This shirt is old, but it has memories." I mended that shirt for him for 45 years, and now none of it means anything anymore. Now, I'm just a shadow of someone who once was a wife, a mother, the mistress of this house. Now I feel lost, right inside the very place that's supposed to be my home. I came to this program today not to accuse my husband and not to condemn that girl. NGC. I just want to ask. Primera want to ask. Hugh, Mr. S.M. And I want to ask the listeners, do old people still have the right to be hurt when a 71-year-old wife is pushed out to sleep on the sofa, when her own children tell her that father has the right to his feelings? Then what rights does that woman have left? I'm not asking to be defended. I'm not asking for justice. I just hope someone would say to me, "Rest, ma'am. You are still a woman. You still have worth. You are not a discarded piece of the past. I have lived my whole life with my heart, and now I only want to know if there is still a place left for me to live with that heart."
Thank you, Mrs. Than. Thank you for sharing so honestly, so vulnerably. Your story, especially the final question you posed, do the elderly have the right to be hurt? I believe it touches not only my heart, but the hearts of everyone listening right now. This is not just a story about a husband who has changed in his twilight years. It is a voice about existence, about value, about the right to be seen as a complete human being, regardless of age. You have lived a life, as you recounted, almost entirely devoted to your family. 45 years as a wife, a mother, a daughter-in-law, through the hardest years of the country's history, working as a nurse to save lives, raising 3 children on your own, caring for your mother-in-law. You carried, you sacrificed, you allowed yourself to be a shadow so your husband could work in peace, so your home could be preserved. You thought that at 71, after weathering so many storms, you deserved peace, respect, and recognition from your own partner and your children. But as you said, old age spares no one from shocks. The shock you faced did not come from illness, nor from the passing of loved ones. It came from the very man who had walked with you for nearly half a century. At 73, he chose to love again with a woman, the age of your grandchildren, right in the house you had built with care. And more painfully, you were pushed aside by him, and perhaps even by your own children, to sleep on a cold sofa, with the reasoning that you're old now. Live like an old person. I want to pause here because if we only look at the surface, at Mr. Min's affair with the helper, it might seem like just another unfortunate story we often hear. But what strikes me, what truly makes me reflect, is the reaction of those around you, especially your children. and the reasoning they gave to advise you to just endure, to tolerate it.
That is what hurts me the most, Sam. Mr. Min changed. I was sad. I was shocked. But I still thought men can be weak-hearted. But my children, my own flesh and blood, they said such words to me. They told me not to make a big deal out of it. They said Dad has the right to have feelings. They were afraid I would embarrass them. Not a single one of them asked me a single question. Mom, are you in pain?
If we were to give Mrs. Than's story a full title, it would not just be a personal tragedy but a reflection of many Vietnamese women of her generation. Women who went through youth with sacrifice, navigated middle age with endurance, and entered old age with silent questions. In the end, what did they live for? They fulfilled their duties their entire lives. So why, at the end of life, do they not have the right to live in peace, to be respected in their own homes? I will refrain from commenting on Mr. Min, and I will not name the helper. Because if we only focus on who is right or wrong, who deserves blame, we will miss something far more important. That is why a woman like Mrs. Than wants a wife, a mother, a nurse. Someone who nurtured a household for 45 years can so easily be pushed to the margins of the life she helped build. I want to start with an emotion very common among men when they retire, but rarely spoken about: the fear of emptiness.
The fear of emptiness. What do you mean?
Yes, imagine this. Mr. Min spent his whole life as a construction engineer, going on projects, making decisions, being the financial pillar, and having a voice and status in society. Although quiet, he had the authority of a man who was the household's cornerstone. Then one day, he retires. No more work trips, no more meetings, no one calling him boss or engineer Min. All he has left is a morning cup of tea, an old newspaper, and a wife he has been with for so long that sometimes he no longer sees her as a woman, but only as a familiar part of his life, a duty he must fulfill.
Perhaps you are right. Since the day he retired, he has spoken much less, just sitting there in silence. When I asked, he brushed it off. That is the emptiness, the loss of status, and when a man feels he is no longer important, no longer useful, he easily looks for affirmation elsewhere. He wants to feel that he is still attractive, that he is still alive. That may be why he began changing his appearance, exercising, listening to young music. He said, "People start truly living when they retire." That sentence might not have been a joke. It might have been his real longing. He wanted to hold on to his youth, to feel that he could still be moved. And then the young maid appeared. Engok, 26, youthful, maybe pretty, and most importantly, she gave him what he was missing, the feeling of still being a man, of still being admired and listened to. She often praised him, Mr. Sen. She often said, "Mr. Min, you look so handsome today. This shirt suits you so well. The stories you tell about the old days are wonderful." All those things I never said in 45 years, because I thought at our age, who still says such things?
You see, sometimes people do not need grand gestures. They just need to feel seen, recognized. When the young girl appeared, even just as a maid, a man like Mr. Min began to feel alive again. They enjoy the feeling of someone praising how well they dress, making coffee just the way they like, laughing at their old stories. Gradually, they may withdraw from the years of shared hardship and loyalty, the relationship they called duty, to step into something they call truly living, being loved again from the beginning. I am not trying to justify Mr. Min's act of betrayal. Treating his wife of 45 years like that is cruel. But I want us to understand the complex psychology behind it.
I hear what you say, and I can see some truth in it. But, you know, no matter how much he longs to feel alive again, he cannot just trample over 45 years of shared devotion like that. He cannot treat me as a thorn in his side, an obstacle to his newfound happiness.
Yes, exactly. That is Min's wrongdoing. And that wrongdoing is not just about him, it reflects a deeper truth in our culture. Vietnamese culture often teaches children to honor their parents, to be dutiful, to care for aging parents, but it rarely teaches parents to value and respect each other in old age. We teach children not to disobey, to earn money to support their parents. But how many teach a retired man that if he wants to feel alive again, he must do so without trampling on the memories, without trampling on the sacrifices of the woman who shared half his life? How many teach that one person's emotional rights cannot override another's right to respect and peace? And this brings me to the reaction of the children in your story.
Yes? Tell me. I want to hear what you think about them too.
Your children are not wrong when they say that your father is still alive and has the right to his emotions. Everyone has emotions, no matter their age. But they were wrong, or at least they inadvertently hurt you, when they placed your father's right to feel above your pain and humiliation. They forgot to ask you, do you still have the right to exist as a wife in that house? Do you still have the right to sleep in your own room? Do you still have the right to eat a meal without witnessing your husband serving food to someone else? They said, don't make a big deal. We are afraid the neighbors will laugh. We are afraid of losing face. We are afraid of being seen as unfilial if you are thrown out. All of that shows something. Do you know what it shows?
So they are only worried about themselves, right?
Partly, yes. But more deeply, it reflects the burden of family honor and the deeply ingrained notion that elderly people, especially elderly women, must endure, must sacrifice for their children, for a peaceful household. Even when that peace is built on their own pain, the elderly do not need to be pampered like children. But they need to be acknowledged, they need to be treated with respect. They do not deserve to be pushed onto a sofa as if they were an obstacle to someone else's feelings. I have met many elderly women like you. Some were not betrayed by their husbands like you, yet they still felt invisible within their own families. When their children visit, they only ask about work or the grandchildren. No one asks what the mother likes to eat. No one asks her to pick out clothes for the grandchildren. No one asks if she misses her hometown or wants to visit the graves of her parents. For many Vietnamese women, old age is not a time to rest or enjoy life. It is a time to learn to endure the harsh truth that they are no longer needed. They have completed their roles as wives and mothers. Now they are just old women. And old women are expected to live like old women, silently, without demanding, without disturbing. That is the most terrifying thing.
You are absolutely right. I feel exactly like that. I feel like I am no longer needed.
Mrs. Than, I want to say this one more time. You are not wrong, you are not crazy, and you are not overreacting. You are simply in pain, and you have every right to feel that pain. You have the right to be angry, the right to be hurt. Age does not take that away from you. Gray hair does not mean your heart stops feeling or stops aching. You are not a discarded past. You are the person who built the present of that family. You have valued the value of a faithful wife, the value of a devoted mother, the value of a dedicated nurse, and most importantly, the value of a woman who has lived a meaningful life. Whether others still see that or not, that truth does not change. And now, the question is, when we already understand the situation and the emotions of everyone involved, what will you do next? Can you continue living as you have for the past 3 months, or do you need a way out? Dear Mrs. Than, thank you for having the courage to open your heart. I know that after everything you have shared, from the silent dinners, the meals prepared alone, to the cold nights on the sofa, what you need most right now is not someone to defend you or judge who is right or wrong, but a way out. One that is warm enough and safe enough for someone at 71. You know, not everyone wants to turn back, but everyone needs a place to lean on. And sometimes, that place is not another person, but a brave decision of your own. Are you ready to hear me talk about that?
Mr. Sam, to be honest, at this moment I don't even know what I need anymore. I feel lost. I came to this program with a very vague hope. As I said before, I just wanted to hear someone completely unfamiliar, not my children, not relatives say to me, Mrs. Than, you're not crazy, you're not unreasonable, you're just in pain. Mr. Sam, these past few months I've been asking myself, maybe I really am wrong. Maybe at my age I should stay quiet like my daughter said. Mom, don't make a big deal out of it. Maybe I am being selfish for standing in the way of my husband wanting to feel alive again. Those questions keep circling in my mind, but I'm also afraid. I'm afraid that if I stay silent any longer, if I keep eating bread for dinner and sleeping on the sofa, one day I'll lose all feeling. I'll grow numb. And I'll die while still breathing. So if you, Mr. Sam, have a way out, a direction, I'm ready to listen. I truly want to listen.
Thank you for opening up. I truly appreciate your honesty. I'd like to invite you to imagine something with me. You can close your eyes if you want, or just keep them open, it doesn't matter. Imagine that tomorrow morning you wake up, but not on that hard sofa. You no longer have to look at the bedroom door that once belonged to you and your husband. You no longer have to hear the laughter coming from behind it. You, Dante, have to wonder whether you should cook today or if the two of them will eat on their own. You don't have to hear Mr. Min complimenting Injok's cooking anymore. How would you feel? Would you feel a little lighter? What if one morning you left that house not to go to church or the market and then come back but to go away for a few weeks, to a place where you don't have to be known as Mr. Min's wife, or as your children's mother, or as the silent old woman in the house? You would simply be Mrs. Than. Would you feel alive again?
Mr. Sam, I have never thought about leaving, even if it is just temporary. I am afraid.
What are you afraid of?
I am afraid of many things. I am 71 years old. Where could I go now? Go live with my son or daughter, so they would see me as a burden again. So my daughter-in-law or son-in-law would look at me with pity. I do not want that, but what I fear the most is that if I leave, I will lose that house forever. I am afraid that if I go, that girl Ngok will completely replace me. She will become the real mistress of the house. I am afraid I will lose the right to return. 45 years of my life are there. The ancestral altar of my husband's family. I have taken care of it with my own hands. If I leave, who will do that? I am afraid I will become someone guilty before the ancestors. But when you said that sentence, you are simply Mrs. Than, my heart felt something stir. It made me want to try. It is just that I have lived for others for so long. 45 years as a wife, 35 years as a nurse, decades as a mother and grandmother. I no longer know how to live for myself.
Yes, you are absolutely right. The hardest thing for women like you, those who have lived their whole lives for others, is not that they do not know where to go, but that they do not know whom to ask permission from to live for themselves. When we are young, we live for our parents. When we marry, we live for our husband, for our children, for our husband's family. And when we grow old, we live for the sake of our children's reputation, for the peace of the household. We keep waiting for someone's approval. But Mrs. Than, when we reach a certain age, we no longer need anyone's permission. We only need to give it to ourselves. You can try doing something that is not drastic, not meant to hurt anyone. It is not abandonment, but it is enough to help you regain a small part of your own existence. You can tell your children, no need to cry or complain over the phone. Just inform them. You can call your daughter and say, I want to go back to Hate to visit my parents' graves for a few weeks, or simply I am tired, I want to take some time to rest. You do not need to explain. You do not need to say, it is because of your husband or the maid. You do not need to justify yourself. Just pack a small bag and leave that house for a while. This is not to threaten anyone or to punish your husband. It is for you to remind yourself that you can still breathe without having to hold your breath. To remind yourself that when you walk out of that house, you can still live well.
I feel bad when you say that. I feel selfish. I used to think that leaving was selfish, that it meant giving up, making things worse, being like those modern women I used to criticize. I used to say they were too strong, too proud, that they wanted to leave or divorce at the slightest problem. I did not want to be like that. But now I realize no one can live my life for me. When I stay and endure, people assume I am fine. When I stay silent, even my children think I am easygoing, that I do not feel pain. When I force a smile, they believe I have already moved on. Only I know that every night I lie on that sofa, I am losing myself a little more. I am dying slowly.
Mrs. Than, what you just said truly left me speechless. Only I know that I am slowly losing myself. Just that one sentence alone is enough reason for you to step, even just a little, out of the invisible cycle that has been trapping you. Let me say this clearly. I am not telling you to leave your husband. I am not advising you to take him to court, nor am I urging you to rebel in your old age. I am simply inviting you to rediscover the woman named Than, the one even you may have forgotten. Do you remember what you used to like? Not what Mr. Min liked, not what your children liked, but you. Do you remember your favorite dish, your favorite flower? When was the last time you wrote a handwritten letter? Or do you still wish someone would take a picture of you? Not a family photo at Tet, but a picture of you alone. You in your most beautiful Aodai, looking straight into the camera, smiling, a real smile, not a forced one. Old age is not a sentence that forces you to sit quietly in one place. It is the last precious stretch of time in which you can finally stop living like a shadow. And you know what? Sometimes, your temporary absence can be the only thing that awakens the hearts of those who remain. Maybe Mr. Min will not realize anything. Maybe he will feel relieved, finally free. That could happen, but maybe, just maybe, he will be shocked when he wakes up and finds no one tending the ancestral altar. When he comes home and there is no quiet figure sitting on the sofa. When the clothes remain unwashed and there is no one to hand him his blood pressure pills, that absence will speak louder than any words. And if after all that, he still does not change, if your children still think you are making a fuss, then at least you will have learned how to live. To live without waiting for him to come back. To live without needing your children to understand. To live for yourself.
Do you think it's still possible, Sam? I'm already 71 years old. I'm old now. People turn their lives around at 30 or 40, and I'm almost 72, only now thinking about living for myself. I feel it's too late, and it breaks my heart.
Mr. Than, people don't die simply because they grow old. People only die when they no longer want to keep living in a different way. If your heart still aches, if you still feel pain, humiliation, or sorrow when being forgotten, it means you are still alive. And as long as you are alive, it is always possible. You don't need to seek mountains, go on a pilgrimage, or travel far. You only need to dare to step out of the role of the sufferer that others forced you to play in, that you yourself have been playing as well. That alone is enough. Because older women don't need to be praised, they just need to be seen. I will truly think about it. I haven't promised I can do it immediately, because it's too difficult. It goes against everything I have lived through in the past 45 years. But I will consider it. I will think about going somewhere for a while, not to make anyone remember me, but, as you said, to remember myself. That alone, Mr. Than, just beginning to think about it, allowing yourself to have a choice beyond silent endurance, is already a very big step forward. You are not alone. As I said, there are many women like you sitting quietly in homes that were once warm, now feeling more like distant rest stops. Each has their own reason, their own circumstance, but perhaps they all share the same inner longing. Who was I before people called me an old woman and told me to step aside? And today, you have already begun answering that question by telling your story, by daring to face your pain, and by considering a different path.
Sam, what you said makes sense, but talking is always easier than doing, you know. I'm already 71. My bones aren't what they used to be. My eyes are dim. My legs are slow. Even if I were to pack a bag now, where would I go? Back to my hometown in Hatay. There's hardly any family left there. And the land and house after my parents passed were divided among my siblings. I married far away, so that place is no longer mine. Would I go back just to live in someone else's home? I don't want that. And going to Saigon to live with my daughter? Or down to Vung Tau with my son? I don't want that either. They have their own families now. Daughters-in-law, sons-in-law, grandchildren. Even if they truly love me, my presence would still be a burden. I'd have to watch every word, please everyone, and tread carefully around them. I'm afraid, Sam. I'm afraid that I'd only be stepping out of one invisible prison into another.
I understand those very real worries of yours. They are the same concerns many elderly people face when standing at the crossroads of their later years. Financial dependence, the fear of becoming a burden to their children, and that deep-rooted sense of resignation that's been ingrained after decades of living the same way. But Mr. Than, the purpose of going somewhere for a while, the thing I suggested doesn't necessarily mean staying in someone else's house.
What do you mean by that, Sam? If I don't stay with my children, Then where would I stay? In a hotel? With what money? My nurse's pension is barely enough for small treats here and there, let alone traveling or renting a place.
No, I don't mean a fancy hotel. There are many other options, Mr. Than. For example, you could return to Hanai and rent a small, quiet room in a different area, just somewhere clean and safe to stay for a few weeks. Or there are temples and churches that have retreat houses where older people can stay for a short time. The important thing isn't where you stay or how luxurious it is. What matters is having your own space. A place where you don't have to see Mr. Min or Ms. NGC. A place where you can freely do whatever you want, even if it's something very small. Freedom to do what you want.
At this age, what more could I possibly want? Sam, I don't eat much anymore. And as for clothes, I just wear the same old ones over and over again.
That's not true, Mr. Than. Maybe it's just that you've spent so many years living for others that you've forgotten you, too. Have your own simple joys and wishes. Do you remember, back when you were young, before you got married, what was the thing you loved doing the most? Or later on, was there ever something you quietly wished to do just for yourself, but never had the chance to?
Back when I was young? It's been so long, I hardly remember. We were so poor then, Sam. I just went to school, then worked as a nurse, got married, had children. There wasn't really time to think about what I liked. But I think when I was still a girl up in the north, I loved listening to H.T. Chow. My house was near the community cultural center, and every Saturday night they would perform. I used to sneak away from my mother to go listen. I was so passionate about it, but after I married and moved south, Mr. Min didn't like it. He said it was depressing, so I stopped listening. I also liked arranging flowers. When I worked at the clinic, I would go out early in the morning to pick wildflowers, morning flowers, 10 o'clock flowers, evening violets, and put them in a small vase on my desk. Just looking at them made me feel happy. But after I moved into my husband's house, I stopped. My mother-in-law said women wasting time on such trivial things would have no mind for children when the work piled up.
You see, you still remember, after all, listening to H.T. Chow, arranging flowers. Those were the small, simple joys of the young Than you once were. So why not allow yourself to do those things again now? If you were somewhere else, just on your own. In the evening, you could take out your phone and find the old Chow songs you used to love, and listen to them. In the morning, you could walk to the market, buy a small bunch of chrysanthemums, and arrange them in your room. No one would call it sorrowful. No one would say you're being frivolous. You'd do it simply because you like it.
Hearing you say that, I can see it makes sense. But I'm afraid, Sam, I'm afraid that if I go, Mr. Min will get angry and use it as an excuse. He might say, I abandoned the house. And then, what if he openly allows that girl EC to take my place instead?
Mr. Than, I understand that fear. But think about it. Even when you stay at home, silent, enduring, sleeping on the sofa, NGC has almost already taken your place. She sleeps in your room, cooks for your husband. He feeds her, strokes her hair, tells her he's comfortable because of her. That replacement is happening right before your eyes. Whether you stay or leave temporarily, that reality is still unfolding. But there is a difference. If you stay and continue to remain silent, you are accepting the role of the overlooked one. You are letting them determine your life. But if you choose to go away for a while, you are reclaiming control. You are saying, I will not accept being treated this way. I need space for myself. That is a very different message. Reclaim control. You ask, I'm old. What control can I still have, Sam? You can control your emotions. You can control whether you allow others to continue hurting you every day. You can control whether you want to spend the rest of your years in resentment or in peace, even if it's alone. And who knows, your absence might make Mr. Min reconsider. Men, especially those who've been cared for all their lives like him. Sometimes don't realize the value of the person beside them until that person is no longer there. The bed suddenly goes unmade, the shirt is not ironed, the blood pressure pill isn't handed over. Perhaps it is the absence of these small, seemingly trivial things that will make him realize who has truly been essential in his life for the past 45 years.
Do you think it will really be like that, Sam? Or will he feel relieved because there's no one nagging in his ear anymore? That girl, Engisi, is young and strong, and she takes care of him even more skillfully than I do.
That's something we can't be sure of, Mr. Than. Maybe he will realize it. Maybe he won't. But that isn't as important as what you have done for yourself. Mr. Than, I want to ask you one more question. Before all this with NGC happened, during those 45 years together, have you ever felt that Mr. Min didn't really listen to you, that he didn't truly appreciate you, or is this the first time?
If I'm honest about not being listened to or truly appreciated, it's been my whole life, Sam. Like I told you, he's always away on business trips, and even when he's home, he speaks little. My husband and I rarely sit down and talk. Whatever joys or sorrows I have, I keep to myself. Or sometimes I tell the children, and he just nods along. He's a good man. He doesn't gamble or drink excessively. He's responsible. He provides for the family. But how do I put it? Did he understand me? Sarewit may treat me as a true partner in life? No, not really. I felt more like a house manager than a wife. I took care of everything inside and outside the home. The children, the house, the kitchen, my mother. He came home from work, handed over the money, and that was it. There were times when I was sick, I'd lie in bed, and he would check in, buy medicine. But the way he asked felt like a duty. Did you take the medicine? Did you eat? I bought it for you. Not like sitting beside me, holding my hand, asking, "Are you very tired? Do you need me to stay home with you?" That never happened. Or holidays, I would see other couples going out together enjoying themselves, while my husband would say, "We're too old to go anywhere." He'd stay home reading the newspaper or watching TV while I bent over the kitchen, cooking and cleaning. I got used to it. I got used to the silence. I got used to managing everything on my own. I stopped expecting anything from him, so maybe that's why. When this thing with Engisi happened, I was shocked. I was hurt, but I wasn't entirely surprised, because I knew that cold heart of his had probably been indifferent to me for a long time already. Are you saying it's my fault?
No, absolutely not, Mr. Than. It's not your fault at all. You haven't done anything wrong, but I've been thinking about the idea of duty and affection in marriage, especially in long marriages like yours. People often say that couples stay together out of duty, but if only duty remains and affection is gone, can that duty alone truly hold things together? Perhaps Mr. Min felt stifled within that very sense of duty. He fulfilled his responsibilities as a husband and a father, but maybe he also longed for a little affection, a little romance, a sense of freshness that he no longer found in a wife he had grown too familiar with, and then he found it in the young housemaid. I'm not saying this to justify his actions, but to help you understand that sometimes prolonged silence from both sides can be even more dangerous than an argument.
So, you mean I should talk to him, Sam? At this point, what is there left to say? Things have already gotten to this point.
Perhaps now isn't the right time to talk directly with Mr. Min, since both of you are in a difficult emotional state. But you can talk to yourself and you can take action. The action of going somewhere for a while that I suggested I sent tea about running away or seeking revenge. It's a way for you to create a necessary pause. A pause where you can look back on your own life, reflect on your marriage, and also give Mr. Min and your children time to see your role in the family. Sometimes people only realize the value of the air around them when they no longer have it to breathe. Right, Mr. Than?
To remember myself. You keep saying that over and over, and I'll try to think more about it. Honestly, I'm so lost. I don't know where to begin. But I don't want to go on living like this. I don't want to die on this sofa.
Mr. Than, what you just said is very important. I want to go on living like this. I don't want to die on this sofa. That sentence alone shows the life still burning quietly inside you, the desire to change. to live differently, even while you feel lost and unsure of where to begin. That feeling of confusion, of not knowing where to start, is completely understandable. For 45 years, nearly half a lifetime, you've lived within a familiar rhythm, a pattern shaped by family, by society, and perhaps even by your own expectations of what it means to be a wife and a mother. Now, faced with such a painful turning point, and at the age of 71, it's only natural to feel anxious and afraid. But precisely because you don't want to die on that sofa, we need to find another path, even if it's just a small one. A temporary one, it's still a path forward.
Sam, you keep telling me to find myself, but I'm so afraid. I'm afraid that if I leave, things will only get worse. Like I said, I'm afraid of losing the house. Yes, it's under Mr. Min's name, but I poured more than 40 years of my life into that home. I swept every bit of that yard. I cleaned every door with my own hands. And now, if I go and he gets angry, what if he doesn't let me come back? Then where would I go? I'm also afraid of becoming a burden to my children. You know how it is. No matter how good a daughter-in-law or son-in-law is, when a mother-in-law or mother moves in for too long, it becomes difficult. They have their own work, their own children. If I go, it just adds one more person to worry about. They've already told me not to make a big deal out of this. So if I pack my bag and show up at their house, wouldn't I be doing exactly that? Making a big deal out of it?
I understand those fears of yours. Truly, the fear of losing a familiar place, the fear of becoming a burden, and even the fear of being judged by your own children. Those are all very real, very human worries. But, Mrs. Than, let's look at this from another angle. First, about the house. Legally speaking, yes, things can get complicated when it's under only one person's name, but that home was built and lived in throughout your marriage. You've been there for 45 years. You're not a guest there. You have lawful and moral rights to that house. Leaving for a few weeks or even a few months doesn't mean you re-giving up those rights. It only means you're giving yourself a space to breathe. Second, about the fear of being a burden to your children. Perhaps it's time you allowed yourself to come first, even just a little. You've spent your whole life taking care of others, your husband, your children, your home. Now that you're hurting, it's only fair to lean on your children, even if only for emotional support. Maybe their initial reaction, telling you not to make a big deal out of it, comes from their own confusion and fear of change, fear of conflict. But if you truly need a place to stay for a few days, I believe that, deep down, with the love between mother and child, they won't have the heart to turn you away. And going to stay with them for a while doesn't mean you re-causing trouble, it simply means you re-asking for help, which is something every human being deserves to do.
What you're saying makes sense, but I still feel it's not right. I keep feeling that, as a wife and a mother, I'm supposed to endure, to keep the family peaceful. If I leave now, even just for a while, people will look at me and say, it's because I couldn't be patient, because I made things tense. That's why the family fell apart.
Mrs. Than, you've been enduring for 45 years. You've been keeping that home peaceful in your own way. But is that peace truly peace, or is it just a quiet kind of suffocation, where only one person gets to live while the other slowly dies on the sofa? When people look at you and talk, maybe that's one of the heaviest burdens Vietnamese women, especially your generation, have had to carry. But tell me, who are those people? Do they live your life? Do they know what you've been through? Or do they only see the surface and judge you through old, outdated expectations? You don't have to live by their gaze anymore. You just need to live in a way that you no longer feel suffocated, no longer feel like you're the extra one in your own home.
Living for myself. It sounds so strange, Sam. All my life, I've only known how to live for Mr. Min, for the children, for my mother-in-law. Now you're telling me to live for me. But I honestly don't know what that even means. If I go away for a few weeks, I wouldn't even know what to do with my days. I'd just wander around, start thinking too much again, and then I'd feel sad.
Then let us try to think about what you could do if you had some time just for yourself. You said you like listening to Chow songs, right?
Yes, I loved it when I was young. It's been so long since I last listened that I've almost forgotten it all.
Then why not try listening again? Nowadays, with a smartphone and the internet, you can ask your children or go to a shop and have someone help you find those old Chow songs. You could sit alone, close your eyes, and listen to the melodies from the past to see if they still move you. And you said you like arranging flowers, so why not try doing that again? Even just a few chrysanthemums from the market, placed in a simple glass, would be enough. Arrange a small bouquet with your own hands, just for yourself to enjoy. See, these are very small things, inexpensive, and they don't trouble anyone. But they are a way for you to reconnect with yourself, with the simple joys you've forgotten.
Hearing you say that, I can see a spark of interest. And that's a good start. But I understand your fear. Doing those things alone might make you feel even more lonely. Being alone in solitude is very different from feeling alone while surrounded by others. The difference is that when you're truly by yourself, you can choose how to fill your time, how to care for yourself, and what brings you joy. Even if it feels unfamiliar at first, that kind of solitude can slowly become a space where you reconnect with yourself, rather than avoid.
When you are by yourself, doing what you love, that is freedom. But when you are surrounded by your husband and children, and yet no one truly sees you or listens to you, that is the deepest kind of loneliness. You could also try other small things. Attend church more often, talk with your fellow parishioners, join the local senior club, do some gentle exercises, or simply sit at a small cafe and watch people passing by. The goal isn't just to fill your time. It is to remind yourself that your life is still there, still yours, independent of that house, of Mr. Min, and of Ms. NGC. You are still a person who has the right to live, to feel joy, and even to feel sadness in your own way.
But Sam, I keep thinking about the scene if I were to leave. At home, those two would be comfortable with each other, happy together. I'd feel angry, like I'm the loser who has to walk away. I understand that feeling, Mr. Than, the sense of helplessness and anger when you see yourself being pushed aside.
But, Mr. Than, this isn't a battle to see who wins or loses. This is your life. You're not losing by choosing to leave in order to protect your dignity and your peace. You only truly lose if you stay, if you accept being a shadow, letting the resentment eat away at you day by day. Leaving isn't giving up. It's a way of saying, I do not accept this treatment. I deserve more respect. You don't even need to say it aloud to Mr. Min. Your action speaks for you. And who knows, as I said before, your absence might make him see things differently. Sometimes people only realize they were wrong when the one who endured is no longer there to endure it.
I don't know anymore. He's like a different person now, Sam. He's completely infatuated. That girl says something, and he listens. She says she wants to eat something, and he takes her. She says she wants to travel to Dalot, and he's already planning it. It's like he's young again.
When older people suddenly change like that, it can stem from many complex psychological reasons. Fear of aging, fear of death, a desire to hold on to youth. But whatever the reason, his actions toward you are unacceptable. Instead of focusing on how to change him or win him back, which would likely be very difficult and emotionally draining, I think what you need to do now is focus on yourself. Focus on how to free yourself from feeling like a mere guest in your own home, and how to reclaim peace within your own heart.
Finding peace and reclaiming it. It feels so hard, Sam. For months now, every night I've been tossing and turning. Every time I close my eyes, I see him stroking that girl's hair. I hear their laughter and talking in the bedroom. It ants.
I understand that those are very deep emotional wounds, and it takes time and support to heal from them. Do you have a close friend? Someone you truly trust? Someone you can open up to without fear of being judged?
Most of my friends are old now, Sam. Many have already passed away. Some were my colleagues back when I was a nurse. A few have been taken abroad by their children. There are still a couple who live nearby, and sometimes we go out for coffee and talk. But this matter, I'm too ashamed to tell anyone. I'm afraid if people find out, they'll gossip, and then it'll reach my children's ears.
So, besides your friends, do you often attend church services? Could you reach out to the parish priest or respected members of the congregation to share your feelings and seek advice? Sometimes faith and the support of a religious community can be a very strong source of spiritual strength.
I do attend Mass regularly, but the parish priest is very busy, and I feel embarrassed to bring up such a complicated family matter.
Miss Than, you don't have to bear all of this alone. You have the right to seek help, whether from friends, family, a sisterly figure, your religious community, or even professional counselors. If you feel it's necessary, the important thing is to recognize that you do not deserve to be treated this way, and you have the right to live your later years with peace and dignity.
That's right, Sam. That's all I want. I don't need him to love me again like before, and I don't need that girl Engok to disappear either. I just want to live like a human being, with dignity, whether it's in my own house or somewhere else. It doesn't matter, as long as I don't have to hear that laughter every night. I don't want to give up. I don't want to spend the rest of my life on that sofa.
Aunt Than, that is what truly matters. That desire to live differently is the flame that will keep you warm in the days to come, even if the world around you remains difficult. My dear Aunt Than, more than an hour has passed, and I don't think this has simply been a conversation between a host and a guest. It feels more like a journey of a 71-year-old woman, someone who seemed to have already endured all the pain and ups and downs of life, learning to walk again. Not with legs that may have grown weary over time, but with her heart, a heart that has suffered deeply, yet still knows how to feel, still yearns to live, to be respected. I still remember vividly the image you described at the beginning of this program and everything you shared afterward. You lying alone on that cold sofa in the living room, while your husband, the man you've been married to for 45 years, and the young maid were together in the warm bedroom. The laughter and chatter coming from that room, faint as it was, cut into your heart bit by bit. That image is not only a picture of a wife being pushed out of her own bed, it is also a metaphor for the fate of many elderly women in our country, Vietnam. Women who have quietly stepped back, once, twice, many times throughout their lives. They step back so their husbands and children can move forward. They step back to keep the peace at home. They step back because they think, I'm old now, I don't need much anymore. And they keep stepping back, until one day they realize they no longer stand within the life that once belonged to them. No one deliberately pushed them away, but somehow, everyone grew used to watching them quietly fade into the background, into silence.
You know, Sam, the most painful thing isn't that he has someone else. Men, sometimes they're weak. They make mistakes. That's not what hurts the most. What truly hurts is being treated like a thing of the past, like something old, outdated, expired, no longer worthy of the present. I don't need him to love me again, like he did in the old days. I'm 71. I don't expect that anymore. I don't need him to be romantic, to buy gifts, or say sweet things. I just want to exist in their eyes as someone still alive, still feeling, still his wife, still the mother of his children, someone still deserving to be asked a simple question. Are you okay? But I've been waiting for that question for years now, ever since he changed. And not once has it come.
You've just said something that left me speechless. Truly, it's not about how many years you've lived, but how many moments you've truly lived for yourself. Perhaps that's the deepest philosophy, the greatest lesson that your story gives to all of us today. No one can live for you. No one can breathe for you. No one can love you when they've already pushed you to the edges of their emotions. Aunt Than, I wish you to be strong, because I know you've been strong your entire life. And sometimes, wishing someone's strength feels like another form of pressure disguised as comfort. What I truly wish for you, starting today, is that you begin to be gentle with yourself. Stop trying to please everyone. Stop trying to keep a house peaceful when you're the only one suffocating inside it. All you need to do is live, to breathe, to feel sadness, and to slowly learn how to love yourself again. That's enough. Do you know what moved me most in this whole conversation? It's not how tragic your story is, it's the way you told it. Despite all the pain, not once did I hear bitterness in your voice. Not once did you blame or curse. You didn't belittle Mr. Min or in joke to elevate yourself. Instead, there was only a quiet, deeply human sadness in your words. When you asked, "I just want to know if there's still anyone who thinks I'm worthy of love." That question didn't need an answer from anyone else. Because the very fact that you can still ask it means you're still alive inside, that you haven't given up on love, on feeling, on being seen. Many people in your place would have closed off their hearts long ago, choosing to live the rest of their days as silent shadows. But you're still questioning, still yearning, still searching for a way forward. That shows an incredible force of life within you. I believe that after this conversation, many people will remember you, Aunt Than, not as a victim of late-life betrayal, but as a woman brave enough to live honestly, to speak her truth, and to gently awaken the hearts of others, those who may also be asleep in their perfectly performed roles. The good wife, the devoted mother, the exemplary grandmother, forgetting that they too have the right to be sad, to be angry, and to live for themselves. There are people who spend their whole lives living beside someone, yet never truly live inside that person's heart. You have been with Mr. Min for 45 years, but perhaps, as you felt, he may have never truly seen you, not as a partner, not as someone who also feels sadness, joy, and loneliness. Old age, in a certain light, is a time when we are asked to let go of the roles we've held our entire lives. The mother who no longer needs to prepare every meal for her children. The wife who no longer has to manage every detail of the household. The grandmother who no longer has to be the backdrop for her grandchildren's laughter. And when those roles fade away, one can't help but ask, then who am I? Who am I when I am no longer someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's grandmother? Mrs. Than, the answer lies within your own heart. You don't need anyone to define you. You don't need society to assign you a new role. You don't need Mr. Min to acknowledge your worth. You only need to have the courage, even if just in your thoughts, to stand tall and say, I am Than. I am a human being. My presence in this world has meaning. I have value. And I have the right to live the rest of my life in peace and dignity.
Perhaps today is the first time in many years, maybe 10, maybe 15, that I've truly felt heard, not interrupted, not brushed off with a few empty words. I'm just a 71-year-old woman. I'm not young anymore. I'm not remarkable. I don't have social media. I don't have fancy degrees. But I do have a heart that has loved deeply, sacrificed endlessly, and now is learning how to stop hurting so it can go on living. Thank you, Sam. Thank you to the program for letting me remember that I still have a voice.
We are the ones who should be thanking you. Truly. Thank you, Mrs. Than, for this heartfelt conversation. We the ones listening cannot live your life for you, but we can help you rekindle a little light of faith so you have the strength to keep moving forward. Whether tomorrow you decide to return to that house and face things in a new way, or you choose a different path, a new space for yourself. Whether Mr. Min ever looks back or not, none of that matters as much as this: you have looked back at yourself. You have rediscovered your own worth, and you have realized that you deserve to spend the rest of your years in peace and dignity. Dear listeners, you have just heard the story of Mrs. Than, a woman who has lived nearly an entire lifetime, yet still finds the courage to reclaim her place, in her own home and, perhaps, in her own life. Have you ever lain awake on a sofa, hearing laughter echo from a lit room down the hall? Have you ever been told by your children that old people should just give in? Don't make it worse. Have you ever felt like you're alive but no longer needed by anyone? If you have, then Mrs. Than's story isn't just hers, it's the voice of so many others among us. Perhaps even the voice of your own mother or grandmother. Please, share your story. Or simply listen more closely to the older women around you. Don't let them fight their loneliness and invisibility in silence. Once again, thank you, Mrs. Than. We wish you health, serenity, and the quiet peace your heart deserves. And thank you, dear audience, for listening tonight.